So Ryan,
Yeah.
when you're in the passing lane and you push this button,
Yeah.
the cars will enter the pits.
Gee.
When you push this button,
They,
that's when they change lanes.
wow. We gotta see if we can get into the guts of this a little bit. I mean.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's hard to explain, but an easy thing to do. An easy
Fair
thing
enough.
to do.
Yeah. Hello and welcome everybody to the next and probably one of our most requested tutorial videos, lane changing. I think a very unique thing to North Line Raceway is the lane changing system, and we are here, of course, with Uncle Jim to explore that very, very cool and unique system. Makes the race a lot more dynamic. You'll get to see some examples of the cars running around the track, as well as us battling to get to that lane changer, and we'll even get to you a couple of the rules involved with how that lane changing system works. But anyway, let's get right into it and see what's what.
Well, Ryan, you know what I think you missed here?
What's that?
Is that the reason the lane changing is on this track is I needed a way to get that track to scale width.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
it wasn't just for the fun of lane changing; it
Right.
was to get it to scale width, which we succeeded in doing.
A unique solution to keep the track not massively huge.
Right.
Otherwise you'd have to. I mean, it would be double the size, just the track itself.
With digital cars,
Yeah.
with digital tracks, there's 3 or 4 places that a car can change lanes.
Right.
But there's nothing stopping from them shunting another car off.
Mm-hmm.
And this track, I designed it so that everything next down to where the cars have to queue up and go through single file.
Exactly.
And when they do that, they change lanes. They don't cut each other off.
Right.
So that's why this is an intricate area. And I honestly had that hairpin turn on this workbench for a year and a half, testing ideas before I built the whole track.
Tells you
because it's all based on that lane changing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was way before digital.
Oh yeah. Tells you trial and error is a big part of making something like this,
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the guts of this, and let's see how the system works and run some cars.
Okay. This switch right here is lane 1. This switch is lane 2. It's nothing more than a block of wood with an aluminum plate that has a hole in it to act as a bushing. There's a bell crank that goes through all the way up to the top, and we'll show that later, where the switch up there is restricted by the opening inside the slot back and forth. Now, as that electricity is being as that solenoid is energized right there, it pulls the plunger in and activates the switch. The spring returns it. Now there's more simpler switches than this. My friends call this the Fred Flintstone design, but it has worked flawlessly for over 30 years. We've got one for lane 1, one for lane 2, and another one way over here for lane 3. That solenoid works off of 12 volts that pulls on the bell crank, which is nothing more than a bent piece of 1/8 inch weld rod and a hinge welded to it, so that when the solenoid pulls, the bell crank toggles left and right. And again, it's restricted by the opening in the wood slot up above. So you do nothing, and the car is able to slip past the bell crank. And now activate it and hold it, please. Now it's held, and any car that goes by up above gets pushed to the opposite side of the track. Okay, now all 4 lanes can come into the pits. Flash it off and on for us. Normally he'd hold it to pull the car into the pits. But again, this plate acts as a bushing. It's tied to a block that has a U cut into it. There's a hinge who has one side welded to this, so that when the solenoid pulls on that side of the hinge, this bell crank moves to the right, and there's a flag up above that the car's shoe strikes that's doing the exact same thing. Of course, this spring is pulling it back. So hold it as if you want a car to come into the pits, just like that. And then the car comes in the pits and you release it. Now, anytime this is released, a car that goes past it does not get funneled into the pits. But if he pushes the button, now the car gets funneled into the pits. Again, it looks clumsy, but it's very effective. This solenoid right here went to the warhead of a World War II torpedo. It's solid stainless steel. And I wanted it to be stainless steel because I was worried about humidity in the basement rusting it. But these suckers have been faultless for over 30 years. This circuit board hanging on this wall allows 3 volts to go all the way to the switch on the controllers. And when the switch is pushed, this relay is activated, and the relay feeds 12 volts to the solenoids. The reason I need relays is because some of the controllers are so far away that if I hardwired the solenoid to it, there's a voltage drop, and it would not be powerful enough to allow the solenoid to work faultlessly. So what we do is send 3 volts to a mini switch on the back of the controller. When it gets pushed, it comes and allows this relay to give the solenoid 12 volts. Yep. So I got fuses here to make sure that things are as they should be. And most important, I got it on a board that allows me to troubleshoot it real easy. But again, I haven't had to yet. It's all been here for a long time, and I'm happy to say it's all working well.
Well, at least the board's there if you need it. But
yeah, right.
You have it, which is nice.
Why dismantle the system when it works?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, how each of these relays work? These come from power window switches in a car.
Really?
Why?
And it works off of 3 volts because the motor to run the power windows needs to have so much voltage, so much power, pulls so many amps that they have to have a relay to make it work.
Huh.
So when you push the button for the windows to come up or down, it feeds 12 volts directly to the motor, and there's no voltage loss at all. So that's where these came from. The little toggle button on the window has one of these relays behind it. So we got 3 for lane changing and 4 for entering pits.
Very nice.
Well, actually, we have 4 for lane changing because I added this guy. Remember?
Yes.
Danny grew up, and I added a lane changer back at the top of the hill.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the 4th one, so that was added.
I mean, this is an old system, as you said, that works. Maybe anybody who's building their own track can look at this.
You take a look and really
And
use it as an example.
They can use this as an example that sometimes the old ways are better.
Well, look at these terminal boards here. I mean, they're all labeled as to what they do and where they go.
Label now, saves you headache later.
Exactly. I added a micro switch here.
Yes.
You can hear it switching.
You can hear the link.
Then I got another one here. The one back here is for changing lanes. I'm sorry. It's for changing lanes.
Yeah.
So you use your right finger and your left thumb. There's guys who try to do this, but believe me, no one's that coordinated like you both. So you push this, hold it down when the car is in this area right here.
Right.
And just hold it down and drive through it. And then when your car gets through the hairpin turn, release it.
Exactly.
Now, if your car is coming into the pits, you hold this button down. This button in the front. And you'll notice that this switch goes off. And that's what allows your car to continue forward. In fact, I could just do this. If I hold it, the car continues up. You see that?
Right.
If you do nothing, the car is sent around the track again.
Yes.
You can see the wiring in there.
Take a look at that.
And it heads out. Now here's the interesting thing that I wanted to talk about is those 4 wires that control the lane changing both pit enter and lane changing. Goes to this wire, and I have a telephone jack connecting that wire. See that up above?
Yes.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this off and this off. And you can see the telephone jack, which is removable, see? And all 4 of those wires. That way I can repair the controller.
Right.
I'm going to push it back in. And the reason this is so short, guys, I purposely put these alligator clips because these are $70, $80 controllers.
Yeah.
And the kids were holding them and running to get their car and yanking them off.
Right.
And they drop.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that it's just, this is when this isn't yanked off and they let go of their controller, it's just long enough not to slap the ground. Now the problem with that is it's a bit short.
Right.
You know, you don't have too much movement.
Right.
But
that's what the lines aside are for.
I got to protect. I've had to get new controller shells because they were slamming them against the ground. But that's all right. That's all right. It doesn't bother me.
No.
I protected against it.
Yeah.
It was worth all the fun we had.
Exactly.
That's a really good. Gotcha again. There's a 50-50 chance of me continuing to block you.
So Jim, what keeps you from continuously blocking him?
It's just like, well, you got a 50-50 chance every time you come to the hairpin turn. But if you continuously block him, you get this. You know what this is?
What does the flag stand for?
You'll get this flag telling you that there's a faster car behind you. Let him by.
And what happens if somebody doesn't address?
Well, that's
it's just like real racing.
That's when you get this puppy, which
And-
means you're off the track. You've been pulled.
And I'm just curious, what happens if somebody ignores that?
Oh, you're off. You're disqualified.
What my boys call the slot car Nazi takes control.
Yep.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen?
Hit the stairs.
All right.
You're out. That's just how it goes. You got to follow the rules, just like in real racing.
It is just like in real racing. I mean, you can't ignore the rules.
It's a sport. It's a
Yeah,
sport like
I
any
mean-
other, you know?
But you know, guys are really good about it. They truly are. Everybody's adrenaline is up, and they're jockeying for
Yeah.
position, looking for slower cars to block them.
Right.
You know, what lane should they be in?
Right.
You know, it makes sense for you to look ahead if you're going to change lanes. If there's a slow car,
Right.
it's going to end up blocking you. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's a race within a race,
Exactly.
and you've got to follow the rules.
Yep. It's a sport like any other. That's just how it works.
There's somebody that complained, well, what if you push the button and you just hold it, and then the other guy gets his lane changed too? Well, you can't do that. It's obvious.
No.
If I'm driving and I expect to be on the outside lane, suddenly, hey, he's holding his button down.
Yeah.
That's all he's got to say.
Oh, there's
Show
the
'em
black
what
flag.
happens.
Yeah.
Show him what happens, Ryan.
Then you get one of these again. That's
That's
just
what
how it
happens
is.
at Northline. I'm going to change lanes and you guys can. You keep driving, don't change lanes. Now we're on opposite sides of the track, right? Yeah. You didn't know, dear?
Please get caught.
So now I'm going to beat you to the lane changer. I'm not going to change lanes, you change.
Man, well, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's a real.
it takes you a minute or two to get used to it, right?
Yeah.
But once you get the hang of it, the adrenaline flows. I
Yeah.
feel a rush.
Oh, I feel it too. And to be fair, off screen, I did practice a little bit. Once I got the hang of it, it was a lot of fun.
Right.
Now, this track, as we noted a bit earlier in the video, it's a lot different than those a lot of the other slot car tracks out there. First off, it runs analog cars as opposed to the new digital ones that are out there.
Ryan, I designed this years before there were any digital lane changing track. And the beauty of this, I'm not bragging, but anybody can bring over any car.
Right.
And with 1 7-cent diode in it, no matter the manufacturer, we can race.
Right.
Well, if you buy a Carrera digital, you got to race Carrera cars. If a guy makes an Inco track,
Right.
you got to race an Inco cars. If a guy has a scale electric track, you got to race scale electric cars.
Right.
And of course, the digital cars are more expensive than the analog cars. All my friends come over with any car they want, with a 7-cent diode in 10 minutes.
Boom.
We have it racing, and we're off and running.
Right onto the track.
So that's a huge asset that came out accidentally.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
It's a huge advantage. I mean, it opens it up a little bit, and you can really bring your favorite, to come and race.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
all my friends come here, and we have a good time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for showing us the lane changing system.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure it was difficult to explain, and you and Derek really had to get into the
Oh,
the underbelly.
electronics,
Yeah.
yeah. Try to answer all the questions
Oh,
we
my
can.
goodness.
And if there's any more questions, I'll do my best to
Yes.
answer it.
As usual, yeah, please leave any questions in the comments, and we will do our best to answer them for you. We really hope that this answered some of your questions and really scratched that itch when it came to lane changing. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more of these tutorials or slot car content in general. Again, thank you, Uncle Jim, for having us, and thank you for crawling underneath the track to show us everything.
Thank Derek for doing that.
Yeah, thank you, Derek.
Oh yeah, you're welcome, guys. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Well, again, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Signing off.